Welcome back at the Self of Truth Summit, Part 2. Today we have a very, very, very special guest who has been on Part 1, and today is joining us today, our friend Anthony Gitch. Anthony, welcome to the summit.
Thank you very much, the both of you. It is an honor to be here yet again.
For those that do not know Anthony and have joined us now for part 2, Anthony is the only control practitioner trainer in the North America. Anthony has spent more than 25 years studying how thoughts and beliefs create our realities. Anthony is the author of the book, The Art of Self-Destruction, Freeing Yourself from Anger and Codependency. And what can I say? Anthony has numerous of credentials and certificates that if we start to take each one, probably will be half an hour just to because Anthony is actually walking the walk and talking the talk. So that's why we love Anthony and we are honored to have you here.
Thank you, guys. It's like I told you earlier, it's an honor to be asked to come back. And it's been wonderful because it's been a while. And in that amount of time, everything changes. And as human beings, we've all got that right to grow and to change and decide how we want to experience different things in our life. And, it's interesting that you got in touch with me when you did, because as I was saying, there's a major change going on in my life, right? When we are talking about authenticity and what that means to people, what it means to me at this point in my life is bringing all of those skills that you just mentioned. That we kind of glazed over because there are a lot of things. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I have been studying the human mind and different ancient techniques as far as Ayurveda goes, different healing techniques from Native American medicine cards to, reading palms even, and just investigating that sort of things and having an understanding of it. And I'm finally, in order to reach my next level of authenticity and what I offer to the world, it's about integrating all of those things under one umbrella now and introducing the world to this is all of the things, the skills that I have. Which one of these are going to best suit your needs to get you to where you want to be, right? And I am excited about it. And I'm excited that you guys asked me to do this at this time.
Thank you for being here, Anthony. So for all of the people who don't know you, if you can share, please, your self-love story.
I think like a lot of people, it comes from a beginning of really deep self-hate, right? And not even an understanding of that or understanding what that was and what that experience was supposed to be or not supposed to be. But there was a feeling of inadequacy. There was a feeling of not belonging. There was a feeling of constant strife and struggle. And I have to prove myself so I can be accepted, so I can be part of your society, right? And I think that through the challenges that I have been lucky enough to experience, because even the things that have been the most difficult have given me the most empowerment to create the life that I now get to live, to create the person who I am and become the man I've become. And it started with being bullied, even back in grade school. And when I think about that term bullying, it's something that I don't necessarily, when I look at what it is, I was bullied. However, when I was a kid, it was just kids being kids. Right? In my mind is the way that I was raised. And I think that with that reframe of kids are just kids, my parents helped me to experience that and take that energy and turn it into something a little bit different. Was I able to do that exactly at that time? I don't think so. But I think that I had the innate ability to recognize as even a kid with my intuition that this wasn't necessarily about me, and my parents supported that. And so that helped to create part of that journey, you know, on a subconscious level, right? To get that subconscious support that we need from our crew members who are helping to keep the ship afloat at a time when we really don't know our place in the world. And so we owe a lot to our survival skills.
As you are saying, you've been through a lot of bad experiences. And what I wanted to ask you is, I know that you in your book you wrote some techniques about forgiveness. Can you please share with our audience how can we forgive those people who hurt us in the past? How can we overcome our past traumas?
Forgiveness is a very powerful tool. Forgiveness is not. I think that one of the things we most misunderstand about forgiveness is that we believe it is for the other person. And forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself in order to move on past what the other people have done. A reasonable request to suggest that you tell someone that you have forgiven them, because oftentimes that will give them then the permission to reoffend. We can forgive without telling others we have forgiven. And forgiveness does not require forgetting, right? Those are two very separate things. And that also doesn't mean, here's one of the beautiful things about forgiveness. Forgiveness allows you to continue to move through life unafraid. In the situation that you're talking about with me, I was beat up in my own home. I was bashed by some people. And the ability to move on past that and to forgive those individuals has given me the opportunity that I don't have to look behind my back. I don't have to watch behind my back because I do not carry that emotional binding with me, right? That's a choice. It's a conscious choice to say, I'm going to leave this behind. That happened then. That happened with those people in that circumstance. That has nothing to do with the present moment, right? And that's a choice. And that's something that you can learn how to do. And that's why when I work with people, sometimes it takes a little bit of hard reality to come through and say, listen, you got the option. You can continue to punish yourself with those deeds that were done to you, that you felt were done to you in the past. You know, no one is living that but you. The person who offended you, they've moved on. They have completely forgotten about it. You are not even in their periphery. And yet, you have chosen to put them right in the center of your thought patterns. So you are the only one who is then being tortured by them, right? And that's a choice. And that's a hard thing to accept. That's a hard reality to bite into because society has geared us towards, if we watch media, how can we be a victim? How can we do something and not accept full responsibility for the consequences of those choices, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And I think that that's the real importance of forgiveness, is it allows you to move beyond all of that. It puts you in a space where I'm okay again, right? All is right with the world.
Because you've been through all of those events, you are the man that you are today because you learned how to forgive not only others but also yourself.
Oh yeah.
What is the connection actually between self-forgiveness and authenticity?
Oh, wow. Well, self-forgiveness, if you can't forgive yourself, you really can't forgive others, I believe. And you need to be able to, if we look at the people who are most inauthentic in the way that they live their lives, I can assure you that you are going to recognize they have put a part of themselves into a gilded cage, we'll just say a cage, whether gilded or not, right? But they have placed an aspect of themselves inside that cage that is not allowed to come out and play, because whatever is out there or whoever is out there may not accept what is truly in here, right? And if we have a part of ourselves, for example, the darker side, we talked about this the last time I was here, right? And I was making light of the fact that, yeah, I follow those kinds of things in a humorous way. But when we don't, if we don't forgive ourselves for what is happening inside of ourselves, we can't be authentic because we don't know who we are, right? We're cutting a piece of that off, and we're not fully experiencing life for what it truly has to offer. If we can't experience ourselves fully and forgive ourselves for those things, I've done things even since I've seen you last that I'm not proud of, but I don't carry it around with me and punish myself with it, right? I forgive myself, I learn from it, I do my darndest not to repeat whatever that offending behavior may be.
Can you walk us through, Anthony? I'm really curious. As you said, from our last part, from the first part of the summit, you've done things that you are not proud, but still you not carry that emotions with you. So you've done that thing that you are not proud of, and you get to the point that you do not carry that blame or guilt or shame or that negative emotions. What is in your mind? What are the steps to get on that place where you just release it?
Acceptance that I'm a human being, that I'm going to make mistakes, that I'm not perfect, that even if I do ask for forgiveness for maybe overstepping somebody else's, boundaries or what have you, that I can accept the fact that they can take what I offer for an apology or not, and that again has nothing to do with me. I can accept my part, keep my side of the street clean, and as long as my side is clean, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, right? Because I can only judge myself, right? I am the only true judge of who Anthony is and what Anthony's behaviors are about. I cannot be in somebody else's mind and suggest all of the time that, well, Anthony behaved this way and this is what the intent was behind it, right? It's not my place to do that. I can do what I can do and be the best person I can be and hope that people appreciate and understand what my intent may be. But, let's be real. If someone crosses boundaries, we're all human beings. And sometimes we act or we lash out in a moment of fear, right? Or that sort of thing and it may not look in that moment as if that person is, as controlled or as on a highest vibrational plane as they claim to be, because, oh my goodness, what have we done? We've put them on a preconceived pedestal that now they have fallen from. And I, that's why I'm okay with it, because I don't have a pedestal. I simply walk the earth and I do the very best I can to watch out for those things that will cause me to stumble.
How can we drop the rocks of self-judgment at a practical level?
Laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself.
I love it.
Laugh at yourself, right? I do know how often I'm sitting there and I think if I do something and I'm like, all I can do, you silly little man, right? You, what the hell was that? Why? Okay, we don't know why. Let's just move on then. Let's forget this has happened. Blah, 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 blah. Out we go. Why judge myself, right? I know that I'm doing the best I can do, and I'll be darned if I am going to keep myself down. There's enough out there right now in society, in media, what's going on in the world that is geared towards keeping me under control, geared to keeping me under someone's idea of what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. No, I don't operate that way. I just laugh, right? Those people can judge me all they want. That's enough judgment there. I don't need to add to it. If I'm going to judge myself, I'm going to look in the mirror and go, damn, you know what? For 54, you still look good, man. That's how I'm going to judge it.
Your skin is beautiful, Anthony. You look very young.
I mean, literally, I really Whenever I just put out a video the other day, for example, about a class that I'm teaching, I have never used a green screen before. I'm not a video editor. I'm not a movie producer, but you know what? I had a heck of a lot of fun doing it, and I threw it out there, and you know, it is what it is. And there are some people like, dude, I can't believe you would just do that. And I'm like, why? Well, it's out there forever. Okay. If someone judges it and thinks, gosh, that's not very talented, I'll think, you know what? Gosh, that's the first attempt I ever did at that, and it looks pretty damn good. So I'm proud of it. What's it matter what anybody else thinks?
How can we not let in other people's words?
That takes practice. Rather than practice, it takes confidence. It takes self-love. It takes understanding who you are and understanding whoever is saying whatever it is that's being said, where are they coming from? Where are they at in their life right now? Especially if it's a judgmental sort of thing or it's an opinion. I love opinions. I just love opinions because they're just laced with all sorts of goo. And it's in that goo that we sometimes get to really meet who people are. We do that by having confidence in who we are, in how we are moving through the world. How do I feel when I am interacting with myself, with other people, with the environment? If I feel that I am being the best person I can be, that I'm offering up the best of who I am in every given moment, right? The best that I can be in that moment, then other people's opinions just cease to exist. Right? They don't make it through that invisible shield kind of thing that I walk around in a bubble, right? There's some people, oh, he walks around in a bubble as if it's a bad thing. And it can be if it's the wrong sort of a bubble. But the bubble that I walk around in is one that hopefully emanates the idea that this is who I am. These are the things that it's a safe place, and your opinions can come in, but should they not be beneficial or in the right intent, they're just going to pass through. They're not for me to own, to accept, to buy into, right? It's like what I do with people for the work that I do. Some people would say that I'm not interested in their story. I'm interested in where they want to be. Right? If I allow people to continually rehash their story, to continually live and walk in that space, then how are we changing? If you want something different, you have to do something different, which means you have to change the story.
How can we change the story? How can we build a positive self-image?
Practice. Right? By journaling each day and recognizing where you did really, really well, celebrating that, being grateful for the ability and the recognition that you can do it, and then just going out and doing that again. I think that's literally, we just do it. It's not a matter of what can we do to get there. It's not a place that you try to reach. It's something that you live.
For someone who is just starting their self-love journey and don't know how to build a positive self-image, how can someone do that?
Recognizing your gifts, right? Recognizing the special things that you are in the world. Every single person on this planet has got something unique that they can do that no one else can do the way that they do. Right? It's like if we all have the same jobs on this planet, right? Really, it's interacting with people. Yet look at the different ways that we apply those in different aspects and different sectors of our lives, right? There is nothing that is beyond anybody's ability if they're shown how to do something. And when people start to recognize their own inherent gifts, that is just something they're special with, and they really relish that and kind of, I like that. I really like to use the term wallow in it, sit in it and just let it consume you of this is really who I am and what I have to offer. How can I turn this into something that the rest of the world is going to really appreciate and feel the way that I do about it?
You said that a great resource that we can use to improve our self-image is journaling.
Mm.
Now, everyone might take a notebook and start writing. What do you recommend as journaling so it can be effective?
For me, is what was most effective was that each and every day I wrote down the things that I liked about the way I handled whatever it was that day. I would write down my day. It was a time in the evening for me to recap. How did I behave today? What were the areas of my life where I'm really proud of what I did, right? This was a big stride forward for me, for example, in some of my things. And I can look at journals from 15 years ago and it's like, holy cow, I can't believe that in this particular moment that I was struggling with something that is very similar to what I'm struggling with today, but my level of understanding is so different. And I can tell that in that writing because the thought patterns are so different, right? Around what was important around that issue then is like, why was that even a thought? How could I even have been there, right? But now if I look back in another 5 years, I'll be able to go, wow, I can't believe that I was so on this level when I thought that I was someplace else at that time, right? That's the beauty of journaling. That's the beauty of being able to look at the behaviors you have and celebrate the ones that you appreciate about yourself and really notice where you need to do work on your side of the street, like I say, by keeping it clean, by accepting responsibility for your actions. That is the biggest thing in creating self-confidence. Being able to walk up to somebody and say, you know what? I wronged you. What I did was inappropriate. My actions, whatever they may have been, it had nothing to do with you, and I need to make amends for that. I apologize, and I'll do my best not to have that happen again. You want to talk about something that's empowering. You apologize to somebody authentically. That's empowerment. And not only for you, but oftentimes in the right situations for the other people, right? It is vitally important that we recognize where we need to make amends in our lives with the people around us and ourselves. That's how you get that power.
And how else can we empower ourselves?
By following your heart. I think by recognizing what it is, when I say that, I do mean primarily about the kind of occupation and work that we pursue. Are you doing it because you want to drive a Maserati? And are you absolutely miserable because of it? What's the gain in that? What's the ultimate gain, right? I think that if we pursue things now, again, and I'm not suggesting that that the pursuit for a Maserati, that there's anything wrong with that, right? But I think that people are going to get there more quickly if they're doing something that is in alignment with their authentic self, right? Like for me, I am not a Microsoft certified systems engineer at heart. Am I certified as one? Yeah, back in the 90s, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make money. It was a horrible, miserable job for me. I was terrible at it because it just, I thought it was stupid. And I still don't like computers. But I know how to use the heck out of them when I need to, right? So I got something out of it, but I never would have made it in that career because it's not who Anthony is. I am not a cutthroat corporate guy who walks across people's feelings and dreams in order to be successful myself. That's just not a part of my epigenetics or my DNA or my genetic makeup, however you want to say it. It's just not who I am.
How did you discover who you are?
Trial and error, right? Absolute pursuing what I love. When I began to accept the fact that, number one, I am not the kind of person who is good at working for other people, right? I'm a really good chief. I'm not a really good Indian, as the old saying may be, right? And I used to tell people all the time, sarcastically, but it really was speaking the truth without recognizing it. I'm too tall to follow. I'm 6'3" almost, and I've always been too tall to follow other people. I need to be a leader. And when I accepted that, and when I started stepping into that position in a responsible way, right? When I started recognizing my inherent abilities of what I had to offer to the world, through a lot of self-reflection, a lot of really diving deep into what drives me, right? Understanding that stuff, it absolutely changed everything.
We learned from Bob Proctor that it's very important to look for questions, but not for answers, because a question comes with the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you've dived deep in order to find who you are and to find that you are a leader, and you have to be responsible with that. What questions should we ask ourselves?
I don't necessarily know if it's the question as much as it is, where do you start to look for the answer? Does that make sense? So, I mean, for me, the big question was, what drives me, right? What are the things that create me or that help me that trigger me when I used to get triggered a lot with anger stuff and that sort of thing? Because I associated it all with anger, when really, in reality, it wasn't about anger. It was about fear, right? It was about inadequacy. It was about those things that were all being masked as anger. Right. So for me, it was, okay, what was my human design? Right. And human design is a way to just, kind of personality type sort of stuff. What was my Briggs and Meyer? What is my Ayurvedic astrologer say about my astrology chart? What does Western astrology say? What do divination cards mean and say, and what kind of things do they offer? What kind of flavor do they offer or add to the soup, right? And I just want to experience everything that there is out there, because everything has validity to it. If someone has conceived it, there's got to be a valid reason, some sort of connection, maybe, I don't know. And even if there doesn't, who cares? It's interesting. Right? I think it's interesting how the chakras line up with, the 7 chakras line up with the 7 different aspects of the Catholic religion, from the beginning all the way to ascension and this sort of, I think that stuff is fascinating. And I think it's fascinating how archetypes play a role in personalities and how we move through the world as individuals, and what are those aspects that we see out there in the hero and the victim and all of these different characters. Which of those character aspects do we carry within ourselves, and how do we work with them, right? Life is amazing. And all of the connections that we have, this ability to tap into the Akashic records, if you believe in that, there's amazing information for us to learn. And I think that that's how we find out who we are, is we find out which of those sorts of things resonate with us. We take what we like and we leave the rest. And I mean, that even goes down as far as religion goes, right? Which aspects, because there's aspects of Hinduism that I absolutely love and I incorporate into my life. There's aspects of Judaism and the Kabbalah that are a part of my life. There's aspects of Eastern, kind of religions and Buddhism. And I think that there's a lot of interesting things out there. I take what works for me. I throw it into this big cauldron, right? That is Anthony. And I just keep stirring that soup, right? And I just keep hope that whatever comes up from that smells good. Is enticing to the people around, right?
You got to a place of self-awareness, and I can feel how strong you feel about yourself, the confidence that you betray by the way you speak, by the way you think. How important is self-awareness into our authenticity?
Oh, it's vital. You have to know how you're moving through the world and how you're affecting the rest of the world. And you have to be, I mean, you have to be aware of that. You have to be mindful of that, right? I mean, that is, if you're not aware, then you're not really being, in my particular case, the way I feel about the way I'm trying to live my life, if I'm not being mindful, then I'm not being authentic. The two go hand in hand. If I really am being who it is that I really want to be, I need to be those things, and I need to incorporate that into every part of my life.
We believe so, and we know that self-awareness is the first step on the self-love journey, because you cannot love someone who you don't know.
You know, I work with people sometimes in relationship stuff, and they're like, well, I don't really take myself out. I'll ask them, when's the last time you bought yourself a present, something pretty, just something irrelevant? Does it mean anything? Just a gift for yourself, just did something special for yourself, or took yourself out to a nice dinner. Oh yeah, I don't do things like that. Well, then why should somebody else? Why should somebody else be responsible for you feeling special? Right? You need to feel special. I take myself out to a nice dinner when I want. I'm like, yeah, I guess what? Anthony's in the mood for this tonight. And that's a special thing. And I'm going to damn well do it. Right? Now there's the other end of that there's the doing something special for yourself. And then there's the over end where it's like, in order to feel okay, I need to purchase things, right? There's a difference there. And I need to really make sure that people are aware of that, because it doesn't give you permission to go out and get yourself into debt just to make yourself feel okay.
I feel like you are talking about self-kindness.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
how else can we practice self-kindness? How else can we be kind to ourselves?
Yoga, meditation, a really great facial. No joke. To me, I'll tell you what, that is the biggest spoiling thing for me, is when I go down and I set up a day of going to my esthetician, where I'm going to spend 3 hours and I'm just going to be pampered. We deserve that. I am going to use the word deserve, and I don't care what level of success you're at. We deserve to feel good in this meat suit, right? We deserve, we're packing it around with us, however many clumps of molecules make yours up. You need to feel really good about those clumps of molecule, and you need to feel good inside of them, right? On a physical level. Get a massage. Go down and get a foot massage even, or a really good hand massage is even great. As an ex-massage therapist, of course, I'm big on body work, because I just think it's amazing what it does for the mind, body, and spirit. But those are the ways that you spoil yourself. Those are the ways that you show some self-love, right? It doesn't always take going down and buying yourself a diamond. Sit with your feet in a tub of hot water and some bath salts, for goodness sake, right? I think we all need to have that thing that brings us a little bit of joy.
So for someone who is just entering their self-love path journey, what is your advice?
Don't give up, right? Recognize that there are no barriers, obstacles, or objections. There are only lessons, right? There are only things for you to learn. The universe does not place things in your path that you are not prepared to deal with, right? Now that may come in a lot of different forms as far as answers go, as far as looking for those answers. That obstacle that appears in your path might be telling you or signaling to you that it's time for you to find a new teacher, right? To find a new way to move through life, to recognize different people and when to weed the garden, right? We need to be aware of life is always giving us opportunities to change, to grow, to be better. Being open to what the messages are from the universe as far as, how they're coming in, that's the trick, right? When you're walking down the street and a hummingbird flies in front of you, are you looking at it and going, oh, that's cool? Or are you looking at it going, you know what? That's the medicine of joy. I need to really practice more joy today, right? What is the meaning of even something as simple as that? Where can we find that ability to share and create that warmth in it from within and then spread it outward, right? To emanate it. That is what life is about, being able to recognize the things that make us all warm and fuzzy and then being able to emanate that to other people, because not everybody has that.
Thank you so much for sharing your authenticity and leading the audience to being themselves, loving themselves, accepting themselves, and be aware of who they are. And I know that you have a gift so that they can make this journey.
I feel like I'm blessed. I feel like, you asked earlier, how does someone pursue that authenticity? And I said, follow your heart. This is what following your heart looks like, right? I mean, it's not always an easy path. It's not always a financially rewarding path at the beginning, right? But it is a soul fulfilling path. And when you can fill that, the rest of it is all just stuff. So I'm going to be including an MP3 download called You Are Enough. It's going to be about really self-love. It's a guided meditation visual thing, and I hope you enjoy it.
Be sure, if you want to feel enough, click the link and download Anthony's MP3. Anthony, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure to have you again. And we hope that you will come again and again and again at our Self-Love Truth Summit.
I would be honored every year to be a part of this amazing journey with you.
Or every few months.
Yes.
Every few months. Every few months. And, you guys need to come out and visit our little functions as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. It was a pleasure, and it is a pleasure every time to listen and, to go inside of ourselves, as you were explaining, and see our roadmap, everything that we've done. And I'm 100% sure that the audience will benefit a lot from all the teachings.